Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Molly.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry to hold you up. I was saying that I just had this, um, there was a snafu. My thing just kept going to where I thought it was going, and then all of a sudden it went back to a different space. So
No worries.
it had difficulty finding us this morning. So I welcome everybody to Coffee Talk. It is just 10:40 in the morning, so while I had wanted to try to get on a little early, I did get on almost on time. I am very excited to welcome our colleague Molly Ballerstein to speak with us this morning to present on a topic near and dear to her heart, because she has, like all of us, made her way through the last 12, I guess it's 12 weeks now, almost 12 weeks of working virtually, working from home, and more than that, working in the midst of our family life, which is very unusual for everybody. So I'm going to keep admitting everybody, but I would like to welcome Molly and ask her to take us on for today.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. And thanks everybody for joining. I really wanted to make this, a conversation to have. It's definitely been an interesting 12 weeks for me. I'm sure it has for all of you with working from home. I have a 3-year-old, so I thankfully don't have to deal with the remote schooling aspect. For those of you that are, I truly cannot imagine how you are getting any work done. But that's also something I wanted to talk about. There's some good parts of it, like I haven't missed a bedtime in 12 weeks, and I don't think I've had that long of a stretch since Grayson was born, not missing a bedtime. But there's also the side of it that my only really alone time was my commute time. So I lost that too, and dealing with that. And I also just think it's actually gotten harder the longer we do this, because the more he's used to me being home, the more he's like, oh no, I can play with you all the time. Whereas the first week he was like, you're working, I get it. So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to open this up to everybody talking about their experiences and how they've been dealing with parenting and working from home. And I was reading this article about this guy that put painter's tape around his workstation and told his kids that they just couldn't come in the painter's tape. I cannot imagine. I mean, maybe it's because my son is 3, but I can't imagine that ever working. He would just watch the painter's tape immediately. So yeah. For the other parents out there, how's it been going? What have you found that works? What do you miss about working from the office?
I miss seeing everybody. I miss going down a hallway and saying hello and stopping for a moment, or being by the elevator, or walking across over to the public square, and the chance to go to theater. And I miss the contact with people.
Absolutely.
That's the thing, especially when you're used to. Change of routine was difficult. That was it. Change of routine. It kind of rocked the boat.
Yeah, and that's something that's really hard, I know, for the kids too. No matter what kind of age your children are at, my son Grayson is just not used to seeing me the amount that he has seen me in the last 12 weeks, because I'm normally at work 8 to 12 hours a day. So finding new routines with everyone being home has been also an interesting part of working from home.
It's true.
Well, we have 3 dogs, and the other day we went out for 2 hours, and what we returned to was, I believe it was their expression of anger and distaste with our having left the house, because it was not arranged the way that it had been prior to our exiting, and took well over an hour just to rearrange furniture, put cushions back on the couch, things like that. It's just ripped up papers.
Yeah.
Mostly People magazine. It had a funny side to it, but
Yeah.
and it was their facial expression, like we're home, and they're turning their back on us and walking to the other room, as opposed to the warm greeting that we had anticipated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These past 12 weeks have also reminded me of this kind of my favorite quote about parenting. It's from Shonda Rhimes' book, The Year of Yes. And it's, how do you do it all? I don't. If I'm at home sewing my kids' Halloween costumes, I'm probably blowing off a rewrite I was supposed to turn in. If I'm accepting a prestigious award, I am missing my baby's first swim lesson. If I'm at my daughter's debut in her school musical, I'm missing Sandra Oh's last scene ever being filmed at Grey's Anatomy. If I'm succeeding at one, I'm inevitably failing at the other. That's the trade-off. And that's a quote that I have always really liked since I became a parent, because I'm just one of those people that wants to give everything more than 100%, and there's just no way you can. And especially, like I said, I've especially been thinking about that these last 12 weeks since my son is running around, it's hard to not parent 100% of the time, but then emails stack up, meetings have to happen, phone calls have to happen, and work still has to get done. So it's definitely a different give and take than it normally is.
And
I found that one of the positive things about this has been spending more time together as a family, having 3 teenagers. And, you know, right from the start, I said, you know, whatever you do during the day, they all spend their time in their rooms, whatever they're doing. I pop in once in a while, but, you know, that 7 o'clock, everyone's at the table. We're going to have dinner. So that's really been a joy, you know, for everybody to be together for, you know, and they sit a little longer than they usually do. We always have spent time at the table, but, you know, they just spend a little more time there. And yeah, that's been really nice. But I've been cooking every night, almost every night. That's been a killer. And the kitchen's a disaster right now. I was just thinking really got to do a scrub. So, but that's been one of the positives. That's been really great.
Absolutely.
But I can't imagine, I always say I can't imagine having a 3-year-old. Like I honestly, like I always say, I'm so happy that I have older teenagers that, you know, they do their thing, they help
We
out.
could loan you one of our dogs. It's like having a 3-year-old.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Yeah, it's an interesting age because he doesn't really understand what's going on, you know, so you can't explain it to him. But like I said, I also don't have to deal with the remote schooling portion of staying at home, and that's a plus. But he also just keeps asking to go to the playground and does not understand that we cannot go to the playground, like every day. It's just like, no, we still can't go. So
I find it frustrating that how we used to be able to call an office at school and somebody answered, whether it was an administrative assistant or it was the person we were actually phoning. And if I can get a call back in 2 days, I consider myself lucky. The turnaround time for getting back, because I think people who, you know, many people are extremely busy. So I like being able to call an office and have somebody answer the phone, and now there's nobody to answer the phone.
yeah, well, and that's hard too, because you don't know everybody's routine. So like there's Vin De Accordia, for example, I work with a lot, and him and Kristen have a 3-year-old, and now they have a new baby.
And baby, right.
So like just knowing that I know, and he knows there's certain times of the day that like my kid is just going insane. It's not a good time to talk to me on the phone. Like he hits from pretty much 3:30 to 4:30, the amount of energy in his body is more than I have in a week. And it's just talking to people on the phone is impossible. And it's similar with Vin, and we work together, so we know that even though those are like standard work times, just because of our kids, it's really hard for us to get work done at those times. And that's part of it too. And I have also found myself being like, well, why hasn't this person answered my email, or why haven't they called me back? And it's like, well, you know, we all have really different setups working from home, and I think we just I've tried to remind myself to be patient, knowing that we don't know what their setup is. We don't know what other factors they're dealing with, being a parent, being a caregiver, all of that.
It's true. Anybody else who has some words to share on how they have been coping with their home offices and wanting to also share that time with family, because it is a gift. It's interesting, but it is a gift to have this extra time with family. And I know I've had young people say to me, I have, my mantra has been, oh, I'm so busy, I wish I had more time for the kids. Well, now I'm not so sure. And that those roles of, all right, you go to preschool and we see each other these couple of hours, that actually was really working for us.
It's funny, before when Mary Jane said that we have dinner now all together, which we really never did unless it was like a Sunday night. I have 2 teenagers and we've been having dinner every night, myself, the 2 kids and my husband, because he used to work late every night in the city. Now he's home all day. And it's so funny. A couple days ago, the kids asked us and said, could we not sit together tonight for dinner? Could we just sit over in the kitchen and you and Dad could sit in the dining room? And could we just like not have to talk? So I said, of course, yes, but not every night, right? We're going to take, so had to be, understanding that it's just sometimes too much togetherness is too much. So we respect that. And, we told them our feelings are not hurt. But, I think taking breaks for yourself and from each other is also important to maintain some sanity and some respect. So I think taking breaks with each other, if possible, it all depends on, the ages of your children, of course, too. So, but, hang in there.
Absolutely. And that's, like I said, I feel like now I've gotten used to not having the commute time, but I didn't realize how much I loved my commute time purely for the fact that I didn't have to answer questions from anyone. Like I could look at my email if I wanted to. And since I commute on the LIRR, I often am like reading a book. And just that, like I don't have time to read books anymore because my reading book time was commuting on the LIRR. So that's been a shame, but finding ways of getting that alone time, like Jackie just said, I think is really important. But also, as Kathy said and Mary Jane said, like enjoying the fact that I am getting more time with my son than I've pretty much ever gotten, because I'm home and not at work 8 to 12 hours a day, too many days a week. Especially because for me, and I know for a lot of us, like April and May tend to be the period that I was looking, in February, I was looking at my calendar and I was like, there's only one weekend in April and May that I don't have to be on campus just because there's so many large events. So turning that around to, oh wait, I don't have to be on campus at all during what is typically the busiest time it's an interesting point. And it's probably why I don't really understand that it's June right now and keep thinking it's still like March.
That's true. That's because we lost April and May. Now we're into June. This is an interesting time of year for all of us because it is the time, it's post-commencement. The campus was always quieter, so it was always a quieter time for us. It was a time to, collect and finish year-end things. Year-end celebrations would be just culminating right around now, especially with this week. And that's all taken on a different stance. The nicer weather, the end of school, that was always big. When you have little kids at home, they all were looking forward to counting the days that school was going to be out and summer could start. But this year takes on a whole different meaning of that. And the unknown of what is school going to look like in September? When do we go back?
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I've been reading articles about how this all could potentially negatively affect women in the workforce, because if school is at home and remote in the fall, like our potentially more women, depending on your breakup with your partner, but are potentially more women going to have to stay home with their kids and deal with childcare and all of that. So it'll be an interesting turn to look at what happens in the fall with schools. And we were excited because our son is supposed to go to preschool in September, and now we don't know if he is.
It's our new normal, our new reality. But I appreciate, Molly, that you wanted to come and talk about this. I appreciate you sharing how your last few weeks have been, the difference for you. It's a different way for us all to work together. I think one thing is clear: we do miss each other. We miss that sense of community, and it's a difficult time. And also, even with everything that's going on across the country, this is a very difficult time for us not to be able to be together, to share and to share what's going on in our own lives. But also, it's really important that we be sharing the way that our colleagues are feeling in our community. We have, you know, we have students of color. We have in our community, we have our Black students, our Black colleagues, and they are really suffering through all of these protests and the not only the death of George Floyd, but the deaths that came before him. So please, you know, reach out to your colleagues, even though we're not together, because, you know, they need support and they need your help. So with that, I am going to say goodbye for today. It's
What? It's too early.
It's coffee talk. But I will come back on Friday. Friday's our TGI Friday that we can just talk and chat. So I love chatting with you. So I hope to see you on Friday. All right. Everybody have a great day.
You
Thanks,
too, Jess.
everybody.
Thanks,
All
Molly.
right.
Thanks, Molly.
Bye.
Nice seeing you, Rebecca.